Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. This is another video continuing in the State of the Union series. And of course, the union is talking about the union between men and women. Technically, we call that marriage. And this particular one is advice your rich uncle would give you. So I have the logo on my channel that it's advice that your internet dad would give you. So I'm keeping along with that sort of thing. Now, there is a whole host. The numbers for this particular video are just huge, astronomical. Meaning that when I say women in this instance, we're talking about 100 million, 150 million, stuff like that. Real numbers, really pervasive all over the United States. So if you don't fit into that 150 million, that's just you. Right? You're one in a million. You're a unicorn, right? Well, let's get on with it. We're talking about finance, personal finance. And I keep telling you that you have to take care of the finance, and you have to understand the finance before you understand anything else. This particular thing is where finance meets society. Finance meets social interactions. At the heart of the matter, and this is of course probably bad, probably some sort of it has ramifications that shouldn't be, but finances outweigh any other concern. We're talking about the union, so we're talking about love, honor, cherish, obey. We're talking about when people get married versus when they don't, and so forth and so on. So let's get on with it. So women don't understand that they're shooting themselves in the foot by working. I'm specifically talking about working. People really want to shrug away and think it's some sort of controversial thing to tell a woman that she should not be working. I don't see that as a problem, because there's an entire portion of the society that is conservative women who have absolutely no compunction about if their fiance says, in order to marry me, I want you to stay at home, raise the children, and at most work part-time. And they are A-okay with that. They're happily married, and they're fine with that. I kept saying in a lot of my videos that the working thing and the divorce thing was bad for women. But I didn't know how to articulate this until now. Now I know how to say it so that everyone, even the most uneducated person who reads no books and doesn't know anything about anything, could understand it. Let's talk about taxes. And the only thing that you need to know about taxes is that you pay taxes. That's it. There's not going to be a discussion about Article 5 and Paragraph C. No. Really simple. You pay taxes, right? So let's discuss this. Singles pay the most taxes out of everybody, out of their income. I'm not saying that you're forced to pay billions of dollars. I'm saying out of your income, a single pays the most taxes. So remember, keep that in mind. Single what? Single everybody. Single everybody pays the most taxes. It's a form. I don't believe you even indicate any sort of gender. Dual income married couple with equal incomes pay taxes like singles. Divorce, child support, alimony is all taxed as income and taxed as a single person, because that's how you're going to get that, right? So single pays the most in taxes, right? And as it goes away, that means as the alimony, as the child support goes away, the woman is often left homeless because a significant portion during the time that she was collecting it went to pay taxes. But all of the expenses that she had to incur during that time was still left behind. She still had to pay the rent. She still had to pay the mortgage. She still had to pay daycare. She still had to pay, upkeep her wardrobe. She still had to pay upkeep of the car. She still had to pay upkeep of the house. And especially if she didn't have a man to do that, she then had the extra expense of having to pay for somebody to do that for her, which has nothing to do with child support. A lot of women want to tack on, well, that should be a part of child. No. You living as an adult doesn't mean that your child needs to be saddled with having to pay for that. That would also mean that you would be taking away from the child and rearing the child. You're supposed to pay 50% of the child support yourself. That's the way it's supposed to work. Dual income married couple with the man or woman, even worse, for you women, makes far more income is taxed the third least, right? Married couple where husband or wife, even worse, makes all the money is taxed the least, right? I'm sorry, dual income married couple with a man making far more than a woman is taxed second least. Married couple where the husband makes all the money, the wife doesn't bring any sort of income that she can show on paper, they're taxed the absolute least. So, women, if they are married but want to make just as much as a man, or get divorced, or literally shooting themselves in the foot, over and over and over and over. You think you're getting ahead, but I'm telling you, you don't. This is something that a lot of people don't understand is what is the actual cost of things? What is the cost of getting divorced? And here's even in this report, it came out. For the most part, women make 75% less than men, on the most part, right? Even with the same education. Why? Because the women take off for recital, the women take off to go have a child, the women take off to nurse the child, the women take off for sickness in the family, the women take off for so if something else happens at the home, the women don't want to work full time, or if the woman works full time, she doesn't want to work overtime. So when we factor all of that in, women make about 75% less than men because of her own choices, not anybody else's choices. Now, bearing that in mind, 75% less, that also means that if she's going to get divorced and she's going to have custody of the child, which is, I think is a factor of 80% of divorce family court cases, 80% of the women vying for child custody get it. Period. Hands down, there's no debate about it. A child is an expense. Sure, they're cute and fluffy and all that sort of stuff, but a child is an expense. Even if you are receiving child support from a man, understand that you are still having to pay to support your child. The child is you're not getting 100% from the man because you are still responsible for the child yourself. Now, that means the child incurs all of the expenses that surrounds the child. If you make 75% less than a man, when you get divorced, the divorce itself costs money. It's a huge expense. It's a life-changing, life-altering expense. Finance, finance, finance. If then you make less than the man, and now you have 100% of the mortgage, 100% of the car note, 100% of the child that you have to raise, even with the, and here's another factor, 70 on average, women collect 75% of child support. Why is that? Because the court does in fact take into account, I handed over a house worth $500,000 to the woman. I handed over a brand new car to the woman. So that's an expense that you've actually got. That's not an asset. Please forget about that part. That's not an asset. That's an expense. So now you have to upkeep the house. You have to make all of the payments yourself. You have to do all the upkeep expenses yourself. You have to do all of the car expenses yourself. You have to do the upkeep. You have to pay the car note. Right? And after 5 years, 50%, around 50% of women go broke. Surprise! Now, the absolute best situation. Here's, you always hear this negative stuff, and I'm shocked that no news media is going to tell you about all of these expenses that you have to deal with, and I'm shocked that they won't tell you that about 50% of women are broke within 5 years of divorce. Broke. Nothing to do with alimony. Nothing to do with child support. Broke. You can't keep up with your lifestyle. You can't keep up with your less income. And you can't take off from work. Now you have to pay not child support, but child care yourself. That's not something that's the responsibility of the husband. He pays child support. That means the child should be clothed, fed, and housed. That's it. Extra stuff because your lifestyle does not permit it. It would be the same thing if he was taking care of the children. He would have to get child care for his children if he was taking care of the children. And here's a fun fact. You know what I said? Child support coming from men, women on average collect only 75% of it. Men receiving child support because they are the custodial guardian of the children. 90% of the women who are responsible for paying child support do not pay at all. And guess what? The law doesn't go after them at all. 90%. We're not talking about women receiving 75% of all child care. We're talking about 90% of the women don't pay at all. Nothing. Zero. We're not talking about 90% of the child child custody isn't paid to them, and we're talking about a 90% hole, a big giant hole. Now, the absolute best situation for a woman is that she gets married as early as possible. That means she literally goes from her home under her parents' care. Maybe she goes to college. That's fine. But she gets married as early as possible. She goes directly from home to a man, right? To a man, right. Now, not work at all, have kids, and stay married her entire life to the same guy. There is a statistic or data that shows that if you work minimum wage, you would be a millionaire, because $1 million goes through your hand if you worked full time. So if you worked 40 hours a week and you made minimum wage in 30 or 40 years, $1 million would have gone through your hands. So this whole idea of a minimum wage is too less and blah blah blah. That's not the problem. The problem is always expenses. So minimum wage isn't the problem, it's the expenses. So if you reduce all of your expenses, you're sitting pretty. The absolute best situation then is that you are paying the least taxes. Your husband is paying the least taxes. You will come out light years ahead of all other women. You will come out ahead of single women. You will come out ahead of divorced women. You will come out ahead of widows. You will come out ahead financially, and all other health factors that go along with that, and all these studies that tell you married women live longer, married women have better health, married women have longer hair, married women have better skin, married women... It's the absolute best situation for a woman. Now, it seems to be that conservative women tend to gravitate towards that lifestyle. It's the only progressive women that gravitate towards this single or a married then divorced lifestyle, right? And so they pay the most taxes, they have the most stress, they have the most heartache, whereas the woman who literally stays at home, is a soccer mom, stays at home, takes care of the kids come out the best, society loves them the best, and all of the bad stuff that goes along with a kid raised by the single or divorced or whatever woman has all of the bad thing going for them. You will probably outlive your husband, because since he's the single or sole breadwinner, he will have. Now, if more women went back to doing this, everything would start to kind of shift back into place. The labor market would shrink for women, which means that the man would make more money. As it stands now, with women entering the labor force, it depresses salaries. Finance, finance, finance. The more labor you have to choose from, the less you get to pay for it as an employer. But if you have less people to choose from, so if the women all literally, and let me say this, the labor market, although the president said that this is the largest labor participation in women, the actual labor overall participation is actually decreased from 1980. And it's kind of funny that there is another chart that says that the divorce rate has decreased from 1980. Ta-da! Relation isn't causation. You know, that's circumstantial evidence, but it seems very suspicious that as women are quitting their jobs and staying at home, that the divorce rate actually went down. What's the largest indicator of divorce? A woman who has a history of being a very socialite or very popular, if you know what I mean. And number two, a woman who is career oriented. The stresses of actually having a job weighs heavily on women. And a study then came out and said that women suffer pain more than men. So every aspect of pain, which includes stress. So as women go to work and they're getting more and more stressed due to work, they then suffer a lot more, you know, emotional stuff like anger and sadness and what have you, right? That's not going to contribute to a very good relationship at home with her husband. Number two indicator of divorce. So I don't think it's too circumstantial to say that, the women quitting working in 1980 and the charts going down since 1980 also seems to correlate with the divorce rate decreasing since 1980. Now, those are rates, of course. That doesn't mean that the divorce numbers went down. It means that the per population, the numbers went down, right? And there you have it. I hope everybody accepts it with love, because it's coming from a place of caring. The absolute best situation for a woman to be in is married with children, staying at home. It's what the entire society needs. Thank you all for watching. Tell me what you think. Bye.